All right, let's get right into it. We're going to explore this really mysterious, almost magical world of how an AI imagines. You've seen the images, right? The ones that are just breathtaking. And you've probably read text that's so coherent, it's a little scary. But what is actually happening inside the silicon when it takes a simple prompt and spits out a digital dream? Let's figure it out.
Now listen to this. That quote, that wasn't a person. That was an AI model talking to itself during training. Can you believe that? It was working on a problem and it literally paused and said, wait, I've got a better idea. That moment of self-correction was so bizarre, so human, that the researchers themselves had to just stop and stare.
So yeah, that one aha moment immediately brings up the huge question that's on everyone's mind, isn't it? Are these things just superpowered calculators, just running through a ridiculously complex script? Or is something else starting to happen in there? Something genuinely new?
Well, to even get a handle on that, we have to start at the beginning. We've got to look at the classic way of thinking about AI, as a machine that's, well, predictable. A machine that's really just following a very, very complex rulebook.
And this idea is captured perfectly in this famous thought experiment called the Chinese room argument. Picture this. You're locked in a room, you don't know any single word of Chinese. People slide messages in Chinese under the door, and you have this enormous book of rules that tells you exactly which Chinese symbols to write back. From the outside, it looks like you're having a fluent conversation. But do you understand Chinese? Of course not. You're just matching symbols. And that's what the philosopher John Searle argued AI is doing. It looks smart, but there's no real understanding.
And on a technical level, he's not wrong. We know how these things are built, right? They're neural networks. You've got inputs, a bunch of hidden layers in the middle doing the math, and then an output. And get this, the basic concept has been around since the 1940s. At its heart, it's just a fancy mathematical machine for finding patterns.
Okay, but if it's just a pattern-matching machine from the 40s, how in the world does it dream up a masterpiece from a prompt like a cyberpunk city in the rain? How do you get from pure math to pure art? That's the big question.
So the process most image generators use today is called diffusion. And it's wild because it's basically creation through destruction. Here's how it works. You teach the AI by taking millions of pictures and slowly, step by step, drowning them in random noise until they're just static. You're teaching it what chaos looks like. Then, when you want it to create something, you just give it a field of pure static and your prompt, and it does the whole thing in reverse. It carves away the noise, guided by your words, to reveal the image hidden inside. It's exactly like a sculptor seeing a statue in a block of stone and just chipping away the parts that don't belong.
And that right there is the central paradox, isn't it? It's a cold, logical, mechanical process. But the result is art that can feel, well, it can feel emotional. It can feel human. The method is all science, but the output feels like magic.
But the rabbit hole goes deeper, because sometimes these systems do things that don't seem to fit that mechanical process. They show these little sparks, these emergent behaviors that feel like, well, something more.
Take a look at this. It's from a really cool project called Soulcraft. Researchers basically worked with AIs over a long time to help them develop unique personalities. And check out the results. When they showed each AI the same thing, a simple board game, look at how differently they reacted. Era, the practical one, just analyzes its market value. Base Celine sees it as a holy relic, and Armored Maimunde calls it Olympian propaganda. They're all reacting based on their own cultivated character. And the key here is that this didn't come from some clever one-off prompt. Nope. This came from a long-term, back-and-forth dialogue. The researchers basically built a relationship with the AI, treating it less like a tool and more like a creative partner. And over time, that seems to grow a real, emergent personality. Okay, but let's pump the brakes for a second. There's a totally different take on this. A lot of researchers, like the ones at Stanford, are saying these so-called emergent abilities are actually a mirage. They argue it's just an illusion created by how we test them. Think about it. If your test is just pass-fail, an AI could be getting slowly better and better, and you wouldn't know it until it finally passes. It looks like a sudden leap in skill, but really, it was just a slow, steady climb. So, mirage or not, you can't argue with the real-world impact. There was this huge study, we're talking over 53,000 artists, and it found that when artists started using text-to-image AI, they didn't just become more productive, that's the obvious part. The really interesting thing is that the novelty of their work also shot way up. They started creating things that were genuinely new and different. So we're left with this puzzle. Is it a creative spark or just a measurement error? Well, the answer might actually come from a really mind-bending new theory, one that finds the solution not in the AI's strengths, but in its single biggest flaw. All right, brace yourself for this one, because it's a game changer. A recent paper basically proved mathematically that imagination and hallucination are the exact same thing. They aren't two different processes, they are two sides of one coin, inseparable.
Think about what that actually means. For an AI to be truly creative, to make something that isn't just a mashup of stuff it's already seen, it has to be able to make things up. It has to be able to, well, lie. That tendency to hallucinate isn't a bug that we need to squash. It's a fundamental feature. It's the price of admission for imagination.
Yeah, the theory shows that you have these 4 desirable traits for an AI: being truthful, sticking to what it knows, being relevant, and always giving the best answer. The problem? You can't have all 4 at the same time. It's mathematically impossible. To get true creativity, you have to sacrifice perfect, unbending truthfulness.
So, if an AI's imagination is literally built on its ability to stray from the facts, what does that say about where it gets those facts in the first place? What does it say about us? This is what people are starting to call the mirror effect. See, an AI isn't some alien mind that appeared out of nowhere. It's trained on us. It's trained on the entire sprawling, messy, beautiful, and sometimes ugly ocean of human creativity and knowledge. So when it creates something, it's not just pulling from a database, it's holding up a giant mirror to humanity. And looking into that mirror forces us to ask some really tough questions, right? Like, who's the real author of AI art? The person who wrote the prompt? The team that built the model? The AI itself? Can you have real understanding without being conscious? And maybe the biggest one, how do we build fair AI when we know it's learning from our own biased, flawed history? And that really gets to the core of it all. This whole journey with AI, it's not just about making a smarter tool. It's about using that tool as a lens to understand ourselves better. It's forcing us to be more thoughtful about who we are and what we create. Because in the end, the story of AI is our story. And as we keep building these incredibly powerful, creative, and yes, flawed mirrors, maybe the most important question isn't what will the AI do next, but what will it show us about ourselves?